Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your boy Chappell here to launch a brand new podcast. That's right, you are in store for the very first episode of Recap Kickback, a podcast dedicated to my favorite topics, including Black television, film, and media of all kinds. Now, some of you, the uninitiated, you might be confused as to what we mean by Recap Kickback here on Recap Kickback. We will be recapping shows, recapping events, recapping media, and we'll be doing it at the kickback. We're not kicking back. We're not taking any payouts. This is a kickback. It is bigger than a gathering, smaller than a party. That's a kickback. And
Uh-huh.
you may know me, if you know, for the uninitiated, you may know me for covering Big Brother, Survivor, and other reality shows on the RHAP network on Rob Has a Podcast, as well as The Walking Dead, Atlanta, Insecure, Snowfall, and other shows on post show recaps, and Never Have I Ever on Silent Podcast. Well, now I am back to kick off Black History Month to discuss the top 5 Black biopics as voted by my friends and a bunch of you all from social media. But with me to talk about the top 5 this week is who y'all know, many of you know, as my co host, who you might remember from the Connect on Post Show Recaps, where she hosted our coverage of Swarm, the other Black girl. Ladies and gentlemen, from the Wrestling Wrap Up on Rob Has a Podcast, Mari Forth. Mari, what's up?
What's
Welcome to
up?
the
I'm
kickback.
glad. I'm here at the kickback. It's nice. I'm gonna get settled in, get something to
Yeah.
drink, some
Okay.
just
Yes.
water though. Yes.
Just water for now. For now. In a few
For now.
months, we kicking back.
Yes, I'm so excited to be here. I'm excited that we're like adventuring on this like new this new property, this new thing we doing here. And I'm so
Mhm.
excited to reach like a bigger audience, a different audience, and our same audience.
Yeah. So Mari and I have covered a ton of content together separately, but
Mhm.
we've really focused on talking about Black television and media, movies, Black prestige television, and just trying to highlight Black creators and actors and directors whenever we could, because a lot of
Mhm.
times we see that this type of stuff doesn't get that kind of coverage. We
Yeah.
see time and time again, we get snubbed at the Oscars, snubbed at the Emmys,
Mhm.
and we just want to be able to talk about it with our friends the same way everybody else talks about their shows. And so here we are. That's how we ended up with the recap kickback. So Mari, before we get started,
Mhm.
it's Black History Month. I guess
Yes.
for the people who don't know you, tell everybody who you are, where you come from, how'd you get to the kickback?
How did I get to the kickback? Well, I have been on RHAP for about almost 4 years now, doing, like you said, the Wrestling Wrap Up. I also do a true crime podcast with my co-host Sarah Carradine, where we watch true crime documentaries and docuseries, and then we discuss those and we rank those. I also cover Big Brother, Survivor, any other reality TV. We're both reality TV junkies. Um, so we've covered that on RHAP as well. I rep the DMV, even though I'm a military brat. And, I'm just over here being a wife and mother and a podcaster.
Yeah, that part. And as
Hmm.
for me, you already know where I'm from. I'm from RHAP, Post Show Recap Silent Podcast, but I am from the great state of Texas and very southern. It gets a little ghetto around here sometimes, but it's the kickback. We're all family here. Everyone's invited to the kickback. It's just certain people got to sit in the back. So that said, Mari, we come up with this plan. We say, okay, it's February, it's Black History Month, and it's a leap year, so we get an extra day on
Yeah.
February. You know what I'm saying? This is the
Hmm.
longest Black History Month we're gonna have for a while. So, what are we
Well,
gonna
4
talk
years.
about? Yeah, exactly. And so, what are we gonna talk about? We're gonna talk about the top 5 of everything. We want to spend the next few weeks just kind of ranking and debating about the top 5 of different categories in Black media. So, Mari said it best earlier. Black folk love to debate something. They love to argue with you about
Mhm.
your favorite. We love to tell you you're wrong. You ain't got no taste. It's
Mhm.
all in good fun though. And so Mari came up with the idea. Let's talk about it. Let's ask the listeners. But we ain't got no listeners yet. Y'all are the listeners. Y'all are
Yeah.
here. So we reached out to the people closest to us to figure out what they thought were the top 5 Black biopics. And so or top 7. Did we sent out a list of like 12, and
Yeah.
then
We're
we're
gonna be
we're
talking. we're just going to be talking about the top 5.
We're just going to be talking about the top
Mhm.
5. We're going to narrow it down. So shout out to everybody who filled out the survey, who sent in their suggestions, even you people who sent in your honorable mentions that we did not ask about. This is
Mhm.
not biopics about sports stars. There are a ton of sports movies that we could talk about.
Mhm.
We're going to save that for a later date. So all you people who have been like, what about Ali?
Mhm.
Thanks. What about Remember the Titans?
Mhm.
Also, thanks. But here we're
Mhm.
talking about biopics. And so, Mari, could you explain what we're looking for
Yeah.
when we talk about a Black biopic?
Yes. So, we're talking about biopics that are feature, of course, Black leads, predominantly Black cast. And like we said, we narrowed it down to about 12 to 13 ish. We had each all the people we reach out to rank each movie. We told people if you haven't seen the movie, just leave it like NA unranked. And then we like tabulated the results and we got a top 5. So if you would like to participate in the survey for next week, you can click. We're gonna click the link in the show notes. We're gonna put our survey in the show notes. You can fill it out there, and I'm very excited because week 1, Black biopics. Well, biopics. Uh, bio. You know what? Whatever. People say it
Whatever.
both
Y'all know what we
ways.
talking
People
about. I heard it
literally
both.
say it both
I've
ways.
heard it
And
both
I
ways.
just
Hell, I say it both ways.
so yes. So and then at the end of the episode, we'll tell you what we're going to be doing next week. So I am so excited that this is the first one up because, like you said, when we started sitting out the list and stuff, like people were sending us stuff back. I was like, oh, I guess that is a biopic. Like,
Mhm.
and it's like stuff that you're like, oh yeah, I guess that does make sense. How do you feel about Black biopics?
Yeah, these are fun because this is when you get to tell Black stories about our
Mhm.
Black history, whether it is somebody who's a civil rights leader, a musician, an athlete, whoever. I think a lot of times those stories are not told to Black people when growing up. You kind of have to hear that stuff word of mouth because we didn't have a lot of literature and stuff dedicated to that was going out to children, right? We all like, I feel like my background was like, oh, when I was in school, Black History Month, I learned about like 10 or 12 people in Black History Month, and then we don't talk about it the rest of the year. But at home,
Mhm.
I would learn, more about different people. But at school, I really wasn't. And so there would be times where you were at home and you'd see somebody watching a movie and you're like, oh, what is this movie about? And it's like, oh, it's the story of, Tina Turner, for example. And so
Mhm.
we'll be watching What's Love Got to Do with It. And then as a child, you grow up thinking, Tina Turner, Angela Bassett, they're the same person, right? Like she
Oh my
is
God, yes, for
right.
the
That's
longest time.
okay, because and maybe that's a Black thing, but I really, Mari, for the longest time, Tina Turner, Angela Bassett, I don't see the
Same
difference between these two
person.
pictures.
I
Yeah.
no, exactly. Yes, so I can't wait to discuss that. So what we'll do is I'll reveal the placement of the movies and then we'll discuss each one until we get to the top movie. So we're going to start from number 5. And then we'll go over the honorable mentions at the end. And like Chappell said, no sports movies. So no 42
Not
or
this
Coach
time.
Carter. Yeah, not this time.
Mhm.
And also no fake biopics like the Five Heartbeats,
Can
Sparkle,
we
or Dream
just
Girls.
can we
Like
just
this
talk
is
about it for
not.
just 2 seconds? Because I look, okay, so I sent people the list of the things that we were talking about, but I also
Mhm,
kind of put like a Facebook status out, like, hey, just tell me what yours are. Cause I wanted to know if we were missing any, right? And
mhm.
so I got like a few, comments here and there, just oh yeah, try this one, try this one, try this one. And Black folk, y'all love trying to make the Five Heartbeats a thing. And listen,
My God.
I, I like the movie. I do. But it
Great
does not fit this
movie.
assignment because it's made up. And a lot of these biopics are dramatized, to make a better movie, showing somebody's life as it is. It's probably not the most entertaining thing. So you got to spice it up. But that is what is that, amalgamation or something like that they
Yep,
call it, of like,
amalgamation.
yeah,
Mhm.
just a bunch of different stories
Yeah,
thrown together. Very much Sparkle, very much Dream Girls.
Sparkle, yeah.
So if you came
Mm,
here to hear us talk about the Five Heartbeats, we're now done talking about the Five Heartbeats. Thank you for coming. But let's check out the actual 5 biopics that we are going to
mhm.
narrow this down to.
Yes. So, first up, and this is why I had to cut you off a little bit. What's Love Got to Do with It is number 5, which just kind of guts me because
That
this is one of
feels
my
low,
favorites.
right?
Yeah,
That
yeah.
feels-
It feels low. It feels very low to me. Some of our survey constituents tanked it.
You know,
But for those who don't know, like we said, what's love got to do with it is the story of Tina Turner, Ike and Tina Turner. I feel like it's definitely from Tina's point of view. So you know what I'm
hmm
saying? Like, yeah. It is literally one of my favorites. I think I have it on as number 2 on my list. It's one of those biopics that I've watched so many times. Like, I've rewatched it so many times I could probably tell you the movie frame by frame. And I can't say that with most of these biopics on this list. So I mean, at least it made it to the 5. So I'm happy with that.
yeah. Again, young Chappelle, you couldn't tell me that this wasn't Tina Turner. You know, Angela Bassett and Tina Turner is basically the same person.
Mhm.
Tina Turner, signs off on this film. It becomes a great depiction of her story, but also it's a very tragic tale in a lot of ways
Very
about
tragic.
domestic violence and her overcoming, but also having to deal with a lot of crap on the way to being one of the most famous singers that we've ever seen. I mean, she's inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. This is
Yes.
Tina Turner, and so
Mhm.
it's a household name for my household at least.
Yeah.
And so I've seen it, but I can understand why it would probably fall lower. We know that Angela Bassett is robbed of an Oscar. That
Yeah.
she doesn't get one and she should have. But also
Mhm.
because it's a story about domestic violence, maybe people are less likely to go back and say, I really don't like to watch that over and over again. Of course, we watched it because that's what we had to
Mhm.
watch. But growing up, now it's kind of like, do I really want to revisit that pain and sorrow of this person who we just admire so much? Maybe not. And so maybe that's why it dropped down to the number 5 spot. But I'm not gonna lie to you, I am surprised.
I'm surprised as well. Rest in peace to Tina Turner. She just passed away early last year.
Mhm.
Which is so unfortunate. And what I really took away from her passing and the re-looking at her legacy is like how her pain and her struggle was minimized for so many years. Like, to be this old as I am now and to realize that her abuse was made like the punchline of so many jokes included in so many rap songs and stuff like that, to the point where we have literally diminished our like feelings of how horrible you know she's been treated. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Mhm.
and like looking around right now, seeing this exact same pattern like happen when you think of like Meg the Stallion and stuff like that, is like, we really got to learn like not everything is a joke. Like, I get it, we're black, we laugh through our pain, and I love it, but we got to really start to think like, what are the consequences of making a punchline of like, oh, beat her like Tina beat, like I beat
You didn't
Tina,
like
like, you know what
I
I'm saying?
yeah.
Yeah, like it's just like we're minimizing struggle, and think about the women who are, and the women and the people, everybody who's going through that, who's experiencing domestic violence, and that are hearing these jokes and feeling these jokes and not feeling like they have somewhere to run to. Like, I mean, I hate to get all downy in our
No,
words,
I think
but
that all that's valid. Yeah. Um,
yeah,
because that's why we look at it and say, okay, well, maybe it's number 5 for that reason. You like, again, if you're
right,
a victim of domestic violence, you might not want to watch this ever.
true,
And maybe if you're going through domestic violence around that time and you hear people making light of it, maybe you don't want to speak up. And so those are
yeah,
definitely things to take into consideration that we just didn't take into consideration back then. Again, we were young, so we will blame the generation
uh-huh.
before us. you know but we also perpetuated that by continuously laughing and joking about it and not putting our foot down and standing up for Tina Turner. So justice for Tina. Ike been dead since
Mhm.
2007 and people are still making these Tina and Ike jokes. So let's kind of try to put those to rest as we move on to our next number.
Yeah, especially since like it's like not even you're not even it's always a like I beat Tina. It's always
Mhm.
that. I remember like sorry, I'm going back here, but
No, you think
Shea Coulee on Drag Race, for all my Drag Race fans, she wrote a bar that said, "Leave them in the dust like Tina did Ike." Like, that's how you
that's how you
address
tell the
the
story of
situation. You know
triumph.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, oh my god, but anyways, yep. All right.
Well, before you move on, one other
Mhm.
thing I have to say is that the cast of What's Love Got to Do with It is incredible. Like we talked about
Yeah,
Angela Bassett, but you got Lawrence Fishburne as Ike Turner.
yeah.
You got
Scared of him.
Jennifer Lewis is playing Angela Bassett's mama. Isn't that absurd? Does that sound absurd to you? That just like these
It
people that
feels
they're basically
absurd.
peers, and
Yeah.
she's playing her mama in this. incredible. I don't think I've ever
Mhm.
hated Jennifer Lewis in any role except for this
Mm-mm.
one. Like this role,
Oh,
I was like, oh no, ma'am, no, no, you suck. But yeah, star-studded cast, great performances, and then the music is on point, of course.
the
So
music. Oh my gosh.
yeah, shout out to What's Love Got to Do with It coming in at number 5.
Yeah. All right. Number 4. At number 4, we have Ray, about Ray Charles, starring Jamie Foxx, who he did win, right? He won
I
something.
believe so. Yes.
Yes. So for me,
Mhm.
I've seen Ray once. I've seen it once. I'm pretty sure it came out in like 2014, I want to say.
2004,
It,
you mean?
2000 what?
Ray
2004?
dropped in 2004.
Are you serious? So then I watched it 10 years later because I specifically remember watching it in 2014. That's so funny. It does not feel that long. Oh my god.
Baby, that was forever ago.
I was in high school when that came out. Jeez Louise.
You were
Okay.
close. You almost hit it. You was just one digit away.
Almost.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ray was like not is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ray was ranked number 6 on my list. Where did you have it on yours?
I honestly don't remember. I don't have my list memorized anymore. I submitted it into the survey and I let it go. But I know Ray is not like very low on the list because I remember Ray vividly. As you said, it did win Academy Awards for
That's
Best
so funny.
Actor and like I think a Best Sound Mixing or something like that. It won some awards, but Jamie Foxx
Yeah,
really
he
transforms into Ray
killed it.
Charles for me. And so it
Mhm.
makes this performance unforgettable because the same way we were talking about Tina Turner and Angela Bassett being the same person. I feel like for the kids, the young kids, that you see Ray Charles as Jamie Foxx, and you can't tell the difference in his transformation in that
Mm.
movie.
That's so funny. I think because I watched it like 10 years later and I had already like I was like, this is cute. This is a cute movie. Like I remember thinking it was really well acted. I remember being scared to death that oh now I'm just gonna be blind. I can be blind at some point too.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? Like that felt weird. But like also I really did like all of it, like the triumph, the like from like rags to riches like
Mhm.
storyline, and that him being like a pioneer in music too. So really good biopic. Only watched it once. I feel like I gotta watch it again.
Yeah, because Ray has some
Every
blemishes
10
as
years.
well.
I want every 10
Yeah,
years.
yeah, it's incredible that you missed that by so much. Um,
I didn't watch.
Ray Charles'
So
story is not
funny.
a fairy tale story either. He starts
Right.
off with, becoming blind and then having to live life and be a musical prodigy while being blind, but then
Mhm.
also while dealing with addiction, and he's
Mm,
kind of a womanizer as well. Ray was not, he was no angel, as certain people like to
yeah.
say about people. And so seeing Ray, the musical, is like in my mind, I think of Ray Charles and I just see him at a piano. But when you watch Ray the
Mhm.
movie, you see, oh, okay, this Ray is a full person, and like I
That's
think for
true.
me, I'd never seen a story about a blind person told that way, to where you said, like, I always pictured a blind person as someone who was blind, who might need assistance. And Ray
Mhm.
very much was moving on his own. He was
Yeah.
handling business and he was also out here being a whole slut. And so I was like, I didn't know y'all had it in you. It was just new for me. I was not prepared. But again, another star-studded cast with some great performances. Um, I love Ray personally. Seen it a few times. I think it's not higher than What's Love Got to Do with It on my list for me. But
Yeah, not
between
for me
Kerry
either.
Washington, was it is it Terrence Howard's in that movie as well? Regina
Mhm.
Hall. So many good actors that we know our whole life. Lorenz Tate is in there as Quincy Jones. It's incredible.
Mhm. And yeah, and Lorenz Tate has not failed in a biopic yet.
Yeah,
Mhm.
and I guess we could talk about that maybe in our honorable mentions, because I highly
Yep.
doubt that crept into our top 5. I don't even think it was on our list.
I know, and it didn't come on. I didn't think about it until we came on. I was like, why did I not put this on there? But I know because if this was our top 5, it'd be different.
Yeah.
Now, submitting it to the audience, be like, what? Um, yeah, yeah, no, that's what I'm saying. Like, I have a vivid memory of watching it in 2014. Like, I remember where I was, and I just didn't. it wasn't in a theater. So like
It was the fact that your year was so spot on. It was like
because
2014. I was
I
like, "Well, did
know
you
because
read
that's
that
when I
somewhere?"
watched it.
Yeah. You're like, "I know where I was when I watched that
I
movie
didn't
10 years after
did
everybody
I
else
say
did."
that it was made in 2014? I just said I watched it.
I don't know if that's what you said. Somebody's gonna have to turn
I'm
back the
pretty
tape
sure I said I
and
just
tell us.
I watched
Let us
it.
know in the comments if Mari just,
Right. I am 90% sure I said
uh-huh.
I only watched it once and it was back in 2014.
Okay, sure. We'll see.
We'll see. Comment below. Oh my gosh. Okay. So next up, the Jacksons, An American Dream. Another one that I almost like when we put this on the list, I was like, this is a TV series. This is like a mini series. Like, does this count? But then I was like, yes, it counts. We gotta put it here. Like there's nowhere else we can really put it. Um, and this is my number one, I believe, on my list.
Ooh.
Yes, I
Okay.
well that should be that if you know me, I'm a huge Michael Jackson fan. Like I grew up listening to Michael Jackson. Like the Bad album and the Dangerous album literally hold a special place in my heart. Like growing up, but of course his whole entire body of work is something that like I'm a huge Michael fan. So watching Jackson's The American Dream, it is the longest made for TV in history. But every time it came on VH1, I'm gonna catch a piece of it, a part of it. You know, I've seen the whole thing several times, but I always love like tuning in and be like, what part are they at now? Okay, I'll come back when they when they're a little bit older. Um this this movie, I think that it was like I think this is one of those movies that people either really like or don't like at all. I felt like
Really?
as I was looking at the surveys, yes.
Oh, okay.
Um I got a lot of surveys like from like younger-ish people that were like, I grew up in a time where people were like still up in the air about Michael Jackson. So so I didn't really watch it. Meanwhile, a lot of like older people or people like me had it like at least in their top three. Like I saw it a lot in people's top three. So I'm not surprised here that it's number three here. So I think, I think Michael Jackson's legacy and everything that's happened has kind of um tarnished this biopic sits for some people. But for me, I think it's just honestly just really like good acting. It's really well made. It's really well paced. I think it actually lays the template for a lot of these um, biopics that came after it. So, uh, The Jacksons and American Dream is my top.
Okay, so the Jackson American Dream, if I remember correctly, was my third on the
Mhm.
list. Um, I love it as well. It's just something that, like you said, if it's on TV, I have to stop down and watch at least a little bit of it. The reason why I never think of it as a television series is because you always have to sit down and watch multiple episodes at
Literally
once.
the
So it doesn't
yeah.
feel like a TV series. I'm
Mhm.
sure the first time it dropped, maybe people were checking it out weekly
Yeah.
and tuning in every other day or whatever the schedule was.
Mhm.
But very quickly it became, for the next 4 hours, we're watching Michael Jackson.
Yo. Yep.
And that's it.
6,
5 hours.
they added the
Yeah.
commercials.
Oh yeah, with the commercials, this is an all day affair. And
Yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, very much so. And that's why it falls to number three for me, is because I
It
don't
is
think I've
long.
seen it in one sitting ever. And I
Mm.
understand that it's a series and it's probably not supposed to be watched in one sitting. But I can vividly remember sitting down, watching as long as I could and being like, all right, y'all, I gotta go. I gotta go do something. I gotta get up. I gotta move.
Mm.
And again, we talk about the cast, but we really do want to spend time here on Recap Kickback highlighting these Black superstars as far as
Mhm.
acting and like people who are in the industry that look like us, because a lot of people don't. And
Mhm.
Jackson American Dream, again, Angela Bassett back in the countdown again. You know what I'm saying? As Katherine Jackson, Billy D. Williams is in here, Vanessa Williams is in here. Um, oh, what is his name? Played Lil Michael Weaver.
Yeah, Jason Weaver.
Jason Weaver as Lil Michael.
Oh, that boy can
Killed
sing.
it. killed it and was singing. There are so
Mhm.
many scenes in that movie that just stick out to me. I love when they're in the booth and he's like, just look over your shoulders, honey. Ooh. And they like, wait, he said shoulders. You can't say shoulders. Like, Tito, they about to beat your ass. You better stop. So next thing you know, they're like, Michael, you do whatever you want. And I believe it's Tito is getting drove for trying to speak up. And that just
Mhm.
stuck with me. And so, yeah, that that movie series, whatever the case may be, it's so good. And I'm like Mari, I'm a big Michael Jackson fan.
Mhm.
His legacy is not tarnished in any way for me. And watching
Mhm.
this, I could watch it today, I could watch it tomorrow, I could watch it 2 weeks from now. It might take 2 weeks to finish it, but I'm always gonna watch it when it's on. I think this feels about right at number three.
Yeah, exactly. Um, Next up, can you I was gonna ask you to guess, but I think you could probably guess. What do you think number 2 is?
Oh no, that's tough now because I don't know. Okay, what would be my number two? So I think I know what number one is.
Mhm.
Is number two Hidden Figures?
Sadly, no, Hidden Figures was knocked out of the top 5.
I
It's
don't think
actually
it
number
was.
6, and we'll talk about that.
I don't think it was going to be my number two, but I remember looking at some of the results as they were coming in, and I was very pleasantly surprised that people were talking about Hidden
People love
Figures
Hidden
so
Figures. Mhm.
so high up. Um,
This one
is
is
there
very quoted. It's quoted almost every single day. It's a
every
group.
single day?
Yeah.
It's not the Temptations, is it?
It is the Temptations. The
Why is
Temptations
that
is
number
number
two? That's
2.
supposed to be number one. What are you talking about?
No, no, no. That is number 2.
Wow, y'all played in my face. Oh, Otis did not die for this.
Ain't nobody come to see you, Otis. It's
Wow.
number 2. Um, the Temptations, Imma be for real. I left the Temptations as NA for me
Ooh, I'm sorry.
because
Because what, Mari?
I don't think I've seen the whole
Mari,
thing.
get out of here, man. You're the reason why this number two.
We
This ain't wow.
No, no, I'm not the reason why this number 2. Our inbox got flooded by a whole bunch of people voting for the number 1. That's why this is number 2. I'm pretty sure it's originally number 1.
Yeah. Mari,
um,
you okay, but y'all
I
don't if y'all don't know Mari and I, we recently just talked about the color purple, the 2023 color purple, but we
yes,
also went back and talked about the original color
the
purple as
original.
well.
Yeah,
And it was revealed that perhaps Mari had not seen
I
the original
had
color
seen
purple.
it. I had seen it when I was
You
5 or something like that, and I had not went back to see it again, and that's exactly what this Temptations is like. Because just like the Jacksons, it's a mini series. It's 4 odd hours or whatever. I've seen certain parts, but I was young the whole time, and I don't think I've seen the full thing. And I didn't want to rate it based on the pieces that I could remember, so I just left it
Mm,
blank. Because you don't get docked. In the surveys, they don't get docked if it's blank. Thank you very
yeah.
much.
Okay.
You get
Good
docked more by
survey
it being on the survey and being low.
and being low. Yeah. Mari, this is my number one biopic. It just is.
Mhm.
The Temptations. I've seen it a billion times. I know it front to back. Shout out to Otis Williams, who I said didn't die for this, but because Otis isn't dead yet, he's the last remaining Temptation from that original
All
group,
right.
as far
Mhm.
as I know. And so this miniseries, like you said, 4 hours long, but I remember watching it in one sitting a bunch of times. It's about one of Motown's biggest hits of all time. I mean, biggest hits groups of all times. We see, like you said, it's very quotable. We see another like cast full of people that you just know. You know these people because you've seen them your entire life, and sometimes their faces become synonymous with the characters as well. Just like we were talking about earlier. I think it took a very long time before people could look at people like Leon Robinson and not think that's
Mhm.
David Ruffin. Like I don't think I could point out David Ruffin in a picture, but I could point out
Right.
Leon as David
Right.
Ruffin in a picture. Um,
Leon looks like everybody, because how
he
dare he
he really
didn't go
does.
on and be in the 5 Heartbeats and just confuse people for the rest of our lives.
that he's the reason why people think the Five Heartbeats is a real group, because they felt
Yep.
like since he did such a good job, this must be real. I think, was he Little
Mhm.
Richard too? You know, like Leon is in
So I
every
think
biopic.
so.
Yeah, he
Mhm.
is. But my favorite thing about the Temptations movie is because when you watch it, you learn so much about what was going on in Motown that around that time, to where you really start to pick up on storylines that, as somebody who was born well after the Temptations were, topping the charts,
Right.
I feel like I was there. I feel like I could tell you what was happening when Papa Was a Rolling Stone was going on. You know what I'm saying? I know that movie. I love seeing the cameos from random other people who are like, they
Mhm.
just are thrown into the storyline because they matter. The Temptations is a sad story, but it's also a triumphant one as well, because we do know it's one of the biggest acts. And the Temptations has been revamped a few times, right? The Temptations, the group, the name, the Temptations, it's still a group. But
Mhm.
that movie solidifies that original team and all the drama that they went through. Now, there's some, dramatization in there, but for me, you can't tell me anything about the Temptation movie. I just love it.
Yeah, and it also feels, and it's also like the Temptations, of course, paved the way for like the bigger male R&B groups. It makes me think of New Edition, and how New Edition had got their own TV miniseries,
Hmm.
which was good. Um like the Temptations paved the road for a lot of the stuff that we were listening to, especially in like the early 90s, and I will revisit it as an adult.
Yes, it sounds like when we get out of Black History Month and we're done with our top fives,
Yeah.
let's start doing some flashbacks and going and picking up some of these movies, because I haven't seen
Yeah.
every old Black movie, and so I think
Mhm.
there's the opportunity for us to kind of go pick up those pieces that we might have missed as children.
I agree. I agree. Anything
Cool.
for content.
Okay, so you're down to watch 4 hours of the Temptations movie to prep?
Oh, Jesus. Yes, I'll find
that
the 4
might be a that might
hours.
be a month-long project, like maybe the whole month of June, like the first week, the
The
first
first
hour, the
thing,
second
first
week, the
hour.
second hour. Listen, we ain't going
Is it
nowhere. Let's
streaming
make it
somewhere
happen.
that's less than 4 hours? Let's see. Let me see.
Oh, you think probably with like the commercials gone, they might be able to speed it up a little bit.
Mm.
I would say that if it's 4 episodes, an hour a piece, maybe in the future we might want to just break it down and just spend a month on the Temptations. And then maybe the following month we spend a month on the Jacksons. Who knows? We got time here at the Kickback. That's what we do.
Let us know what you think.
Yeah, please tell us if we need to go back and watch this long ass movie slash
It's on
miniseries.
Tubi, but it has ads.
Oh, whew, yeah. Let us know in the comments. Also, if you want to contact us, I'll give you our contact information at the end of the podcast so that you can email us and let us know what you think.
Yes.
Mari,
Yes.
I have a hunch about what number one is. I'm pretty sure I know what number one is, and it wasn't my number one. Mari, where did this fall on your rankings? Because I feel like there's a disconnect in what was happening with us and with some of our people who gave the feedback.
This fell to number 7 for me, actually. Number
Hmm.
7. Mhm.
Okay.
Mhm. So
Yeah.
number 1 is Malcolm X. Uh,
X.
Den- yeah, Denzel Washington's portrayal. Um, yeah, a lot of people love Malcolm X. I mean, I don't what it has a stranglehold on the older generation. I'm not gonna lie.
Look, they loved it. Okay.
They
I think
did.
that's when they fell in love with Denzel. He
I
was
think
already
so
around,
too.
but I think that's the one that
I
makes
think so
him,
too.
yeah. He
Did he
he
win an award for that, or was he just nominated? Maybe
I don't believe he
he couldn't
won
have won.
anything for that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because
because he eventually wins and it's a
he
thing.
really wins, and that's
Yeah.
ugh.
So as far as awards goes, he was nominated for Best Actor in the Academy Awards and Best Costume Design. The movie was nominated for Best Costume Design. But again, as we know, sometimes the Academy Awards ain't for us. But he
Mhm,
did win. I'm sorry, Malcolm X, the picture, won Outstanding Motion Picture at the NAACP Image Awards, and
mhm,
Outstanding Actor in a Motion Picture for Denzel, Outstanding
mhm.
Supporting Actor and Al Freeman Jr. and Delroy Lindo was also nominated, and then Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Motion Picture. Now, Mari, could you guess who won Outstanding Supporting Actress in a Motion Picture for the NAACP Image Awards in Malcolm X?
Angela Bassett?
Angela Bassett. Look
Yeah.
at her. biopic queen.
Amazing. Yes.
Yeah, Katherine Jackson, Tina Turner, and somehow Jennifer Lewis is
I
her
trust
mom. It's a whole
Captain
thing.
Jackson. Oh
Yeah.
my god. Yeah. And this movie was made Dr. Betty Shabazz, who was Malcolm X's widow, who Angela Bassett played, she did serve as a consultant on this film. And I think that's what always kind of makes the biopics really great, right? When like the actual people are, or people who were in there that time are the consultants and not just made up stuff. Looking at you, the Whitney biopic.
I'm sorry. What was that?
That Whitney Houston one recently was really
Which
bad.
Whitney one? Because it was two Whitney
The
ones. You remember
Yaya one was better than the one from this past
this
few
most recent
years.
one? Yeah, that
Yes,
Yaya one was good. And
it
I
was
think is
good.
that Deborah Cox was singing like that? I said, God dang!
I
I
don't
think she did
know.
the. I think she
Did
did the
she do
vocals.
she did the vocals?
Yeah, and
God,
man, she killed it.
it was
I'm talking
good.
about some nasty singing, man.
I was like, how did Lifetime pull out this biopic for Whitney Houston? And it was amazing. And
Loved it.
then the one from a few years ago was it I Want to Dance with Somebody. That one.
hmm
It felt so weird. Did you watch it?
I'm pretty sure I did.
I know I watched it like just a year ago, and I just remember watching it like this feels like I'm fast forwarding through Whitney's life.
Oh yeah,
You know what I'm
definitely. It
saying?
was
Yeah.
it definitely felt faster as far as like pacing goes. Like you were moving very quickly through it. Again, I think Yaya killed it. So then I think Naomi Aki, she did a great
Yeah.
job, but I just don't think that it just didn't give me what the first one gave. You know what I'm saying?
The beginning of that one was actually pretty good. Like young Whitney and seeing her relationship with Robin was pretty cool.
hmm
But then once they got to the stardom, it kind of was like I don't know if they were kind of like you
Yeah.
know, let's
Yes.
but
Mari, Malcolm
anyway,
X.
Malcolm X.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Number one,
Mari
top,
pointed it
top.
out. Yeah, she pointed out earlier, we got a flood of just support for Malcolm X as its
Mhm.
first, like our number one biopic.
Number one.
Mari, why do you think that is?
I think that it was. I think it connects with people. It came out in 1992. I think Denzel Washington. I mean, just honestly, like you said, he like carries. He truly kind of carries the movie. And then on top of that, I do think that, um, I think it was relatively true to history. I feel like I learned a lot from it. Um, I still want to see like the documentary on Netflix on like because his death is still kind of like um controversial. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you know what I'm saying? Cuz people are trying to say like did the people who killed him kill them or were they hired by somebody?
Mm-hmm. Was it the
Who's CIA?
FBI? Was it the Nation of
Mhm.
Islam? Was it just some
Yes,
haters? You know.
exactly. So, I felt like I felt like it was one of those movies where it's entertaining and you learn something. So I think that's the good balance for it. And for me, I think it's probably not too high for me because sometimes civil rights movies can kind of bog you down a little bit and not make you feel too great. But I think this one was did a really good job of balancing all that together.
Yeah. It's a Spike Lee joint. That's always cool to talk about. Spike Lee was tapped to be the director. This is based on the autobiography of Malcolm X, a book that I still have, by Alex Haley. And again, great
Mhm.
cast. And so I like this movie, but I do think for me it feels like a story of tragedy in a way that the Temptations kind of feels like a story of triumph. Like
Right, right,
don't get me wrong, they be dying left and right in the Temptations. They
right.
really we lose everybody but Otis. However, you do get the like and look at the legacy of the Temptations, right? The legacy of Malcolm X definitely feels like it's obviously a huge legacy that a lot of people really latch on to this day as a sign of like strength and a way to galvanize Black people against our oppressors and to really look at an alternative to just like, oh, let's take look at passive resistance or peaceful
Right.
protesting and really start looking at how do we fight back. And I think maybe that's what sticks out to people, right? Like that
Mhm.
idea that instead of feeling helpless, even though I'm saying like nothing against passive resistance or peaceful protesting or whatever, but it really gave an alternative to the people who just felt like, no, why aren't we fighting? Why aren't we physically, why are we throwing hands about this? You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? And look, and Malcolm X's story is very much that. I mean, obviously, there's a lot more nuance to it, but I think that maybe that is what resonates with people a lot. It's also Denzel Washington. How can you go up against
I
Denzel
looked it up.
Washington? Yeah, if you ranking something and you got Denzel Washington on it, the man's coming for that number one spot every
Black
time.
people love Denzel Washington.
Black people love Denzel Washington. I'm black people. It's me.
Me.
So yeah, it's us. We
Yeah,
black
it's
people. So
us.
so yeah, so that rounds out our number one, Malcolm X. I would like to go back and revisit Malcolm X at some point, Mari. I think that
Yeah.
in these top five discussions, there are gonna be a few movies that maybe we flag up and we want
Mm,
to really just dive into the conversations about the movies in a way that maybe we didn't watch them like that the first time. We watched them first time
mhm.
for entertainment, but now we're a little bit older, we're seasoned, we read a little
Yeah.
bit. We might be able to talk about this stuff in a little nuanced way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So yeah. So maybe put Malcolm X on the list again. Again, if you are listening to this on YouTube, put it in the comments. Let us know what you want to talk about. Let us know if you're into us talking about Malcolm X. Or, always you can always contact us directly via email and we'll talk about that a little bit later. Mari,
Mhm.
we have honorable mentions as well. Now, here's the thing. When we
Mhm.
put out the list to our peers, we said, hey, here's the list that you can choose from. We need you to rank them. My family was like, well, why you ain't add these other ones? And so that led me to make a social media post where I was like, well, just give me all your fun facts. You give me all of them. And I started to see a lot of movies and biopics that I hadn't even thought about that just like went in one ear and out the other because I didn't think of them as biopics. Now
Mhm.
we still have the list that we used. And so
Yep.
Mari's going to kind of take us through the ones that were not in our top five, but missed the cut, that were actually in the running to make the top five.
Yeah, exactly. So, I want to start with the ones that round out my top five that didn't make the top five. Like we said, Hidden Figures. Hidden Figures just narrowly didn't make the actual top five, like by just a few points. Hidden Figures, a lot of people that I pulled really loved Hidden Figures. I think I saw it once when it came out with Charlie. I loved it. I don't know why I never went back to revisit it, but I thought it was really good. You want me to just go down the list?
No, when it comes to Hidden Figures, I loved it. I loved it. I've seen it like 3 times. I
Yeah,
saw it the first time and I was like, that was really good. I should just watch this again. And so I did. I
nice.
think I backdoored it. I was just like, oh, start it over.
Wow.
Yeah, because I was like,
Mhm.
I ain't got nothing else to do. And this is really good. And so I've probably seen it. I saw it at least twice that day, and I've seen it a couple times probably since then. Walked into a barbershop where it was playing on bootleg. I've seen all of that. And again, it's a good movie. It's great. It's got some star-studded actors as well. Taraji is a standout in that film, and we love Taraji here on
Of
on the
course.
recap kickback. So no complaints here. Except I feel like it's too low. I think it might have been in my top
Same.
five.
Same. Like I said, it is in my top five. It's number three for me. And I think it's mostly because also it's little known history. Like history, like you said, we had to learn it ourselves. We had to learn it a different way because school wasn't teaching it to us.
Mhm.
About black women who were like computers, like smart black women working for NASA. Like, what? So freaking cool. So I get why like a lot of people like it, myself included. And I definitely, yeah, I definitely want to watch it again. For me, I'm the type of person, just period. It's hard for me to rewatch a movie. My husband
Oh.
makes fun of me all the time. Yeah, yeah. Like if I've seen something once, like it's really hard for me to go
Mhm.
back and watch it. So it's kind of like the stamp of approval that I have watched it multiple times. I'm just weird. I'm just weird like that. I like watching stuff that I haven't seen more than stuff that I have seen. If that makes
Yeah.
sense.
No,
Hmm.
I revisited it a few times because it's a feel good to me. It's a feel good movie. I like it the entire time. It makes me feel warm and it makes me feel very proud of these people who I would have never probably heard about or I've heard about and I
Exactly.
just didn't know the extent of their story. And so loved it. Like I said, maybe it's a pinch too low for me, but I'd be down to revisit that with you as well. I just think we just gotta keep a running tally. Maybe once a month we'll go back and do an older, something old to kind of, stay caught up on everything.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. As soon as I said that, I'm looking at my list and I'm like, I realized that's why the top two are the top two. Again, the Jacksons
Because
and What's Love
you
Got to
see him a
Do It.
billion times.
I've seen
Yeah.
them a billion times.
Yeah.
Next up on my list for number four, I had Get On Up because
Oh.
only seen it once, but that was a good movie with Chadwick.
Hmm.
Uh, as James Brown, dog. That movie was good. Have you seen it?
That's my NA. I have not seen Get On Up.
Oh.
Uh, I'm not let Chadwick love him to death, but I'm not
Mhm,
familiar with that bit of his work. And it's
mhm.
honestly, I'm not gonna lie to you, it's really hard for me to watch Chadwick Boseman now because it makes me
Yeah,
very sad.
yeah,
I
yeah.
used to watch the Black Panther on a loop. Like I just would turn it on and it would just be
Mhm.
on in the house, and I would just be wandering around doing whatever, and I would just watch it over and over and over again. So when I took that L, when we lost Chadwick, oh that one
It's
cut me
hard.
deep. And so I think
It's hard.
I had to step away from the Chadwick films for a while, and so I
Mhm.
might be ready to tiptoe back in there and watch Get On Up because I did see it coming in ranked fairly high on a lot of people's lists. I was kind of surprised.
Yeah, I'll have to pull up the ranking for everybody else, but for everything else. So Get On Up is very good. Like honestly, I didn't know half that stuff about James Brown. I think the pacing was really good. They did this really cool thing where they went back and forth between time. Like it
Hmm.
was present day for whatever he was doing. I forget what he was getting ready for. And like his past growing up, like again, really poor and stuff like that. And Chadwick, of course, did just an amazing job portraying him. So yeah, if you ever are healed and you want to watch that, we can do that. And of course, rounding out my personal top five was Rustin, a movie we literally just watched.
Yeah.
We literally just watched and ranked. We talked about it on there. It is for it to have premiered like this year, late last year. It is on Netflix. It's so accessible. I am not surprised it was way, 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 way out of this top five because like 90%, like 90, maybe 95% of the people I sent the survey to didn't get a chance to watch it yet. Um, and my thoughts is you should. If you haven't seen Rustin, it is on Netflix. Go watch it. It's really good.
Yeah, and you can check out our coverage of Rusted on YouTube on the youtube.com/post show recaps. If you click
Mhm.
on where it says the connect on post show recaps, you should see our um, Rustin review. You also subscribe to the Connect wherever you get your podcast and check that out. Where Mari and I were joined by Latanya Starks to talk about the film. And as Mari said, for us, it's so recent. So we know how good it is and how smart it was and how well acted it was by Coleman Domingo. It's the reason why he's nominated for an Oscar right now. It's because he just killed the role. And it's a story about like a more nuanced look at the March on Washington. You know, a lot of times growing up, we get the story of Martin Luther King and how he led this movement, but we don't get the story of the people behind the scenes who really did a lot of pushing to make things happen. And Bayard Rustin is one of those people. You know, it's also a story about
Exactly.
the other people behind the scenes as well. And so go get into that. It's on Netflix. It's accessible, and it might be Coleman Domingo's Oscar-winning performance soon. So check that out. But
Mhm.
yeah, I could definitely see that into the top five of my movies as well.
Yes. So going back to the survey, um, the seventh place on the survey, Straight Outta Compton.
Oh, okay,
Mhm.
okay.
Straight Outta Compton.
Now, Mari, I know both of us have strong opinions about Straight Outta Compton as
Mhm.
the idea of Straight Outta Compton, right? 2015's
Right.
biopic about NWA really tells the story about how this legendary rap group gets its start, and you know their trials and tribulations as they deal with all of that. But we also know that there's a dark side, a very dark side to
Mhm.
NWA and some of the people involved, and it's for me, it's really hard to separate those things, right? As we are
Very.
it's almost like the opposite effect of Tina Turner's story, right? Like where Tina is like,
Mhm.
oh, she was in a horrible situation and she got out, and like it's so triumphant. It's like these people were also in a not a great situation, but there are some other people that get trounced on the way out of this situation that really
Mhm.
makes it hard for me to kind of just sit with the movie and say this is a good movie in a vacuum because I'm always thinking like, yeah, but Dr. Dre was really doing, whew, you know, like it's really hard
Yeah.
for me to separate the two, Mari.
Yeah, they very much duck and dodged a lot of the really bad parts about some of the characters, Dr. Dre in particular. Like I think the biopic itself is very entertaining actually.
Hmm.
I'm trying to see where I have it on my list. I think I have it like at 9 on my list. But it's very entertaining. But the whole time I'm sitting there like, because we covered ladies first in hip hop. We know a lot of the backstory about Dre and Eazy-E and how they treated some of their partners and stuff like that. And so it's kind of like they didn't whitewash. I don't think whitewash is the correct term, but they definitely shined up the turd when it came to some of the events they just skirted past. However, the problem is Corey Hawkins is just so good at
So good.
acting and at what he does. So it's just like it's so compelling. And having O'Shea Jackson Jr. there, Ice Cube's son, sitting there looking like
Like Ice
spitting
Cube. Yeah.
image, copy and paste of him, it triggers that nostalgia in you, you know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And it was just a really good, entertaining biopic.
Yeah, there was some omissions, like you said. Michelet and kind of
Usually,
what she went through. We see her; she has
yeah.
a biopic of her own, where it
Mhm.
tells that story. And man, it's hard to watch. Not that it's
Yeah,
bad, but just that she was going through. There's information about Dee Barnes, and we know the interaction between her and Dr.
it's big
Dre.
over that.
Uh-huh. And so there are things like that that kind of make it feel a little nasty. Not to say
Little
that the
tiny.
movie isn't bad, but I think that like when you know those things are being hidden from you, it kind of makes you feel like, man, I wish you were a little bit more honest about that. Like I get you're trying to make a movie that's compelling and that people like, and we're not trying to drag any of our legends through the mud, but I think there's a level of honesty that was left out of that one that just it doesn't allow it to be in my top five.
Exactly. Next up in our that was in the original survey, uh, Cadillac Records was higher than I thought it would be. Have you seen Cadillac Records?
NA.
NA. Well,
NA.
rightfully so. The acting in Cadillac Records was highly
The
suspicious.
the beehive
Um,
finna come for you.
I am Beehive, and even I was like, the singing was great. The
Yeah, I
singing
bet.
was great.
Yeah,
The singing was great.
beautiful gowns.
Yeah, very that, very that. I mean, but my girl got better. She got stronger. It's okay. She came back better than ever. Um, Even Adrian Brody felt like he phoned this one in. I really think he owed somebody a favor for
Mhm.
Cadillac Records. I'll give it that. It's like I think it's entertaining. And I think it's very high camp. because
You struggling with this one, huh, Mark?
just everybody is giving like the minimum, like the bare minimum for acting. But I did love the story though, like the story of like a record label that like basically they're trying to push black talent, but basically all of their stuff is getting stolen by white people, you know. They
Mhm.
name drop the Rolling Stones, basically like stealing their whole swag and stuff like that. And it really highlights like trying to make it in that business in that time as um a black artist or whatever, and just like never really getting your dues. Like the Cadillac Records, they're them and their recording artists, they got big, but they never got big big. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? Because in the 50s and 60s, whatever, you could literally just steal anybody's song and it'd be like, cool, you know,
Yeah.
steal
Okay,
it,
bye.
record it, good.
Mhm.
Like so, I don't know if it's one we have to add to the list, but it is very funny. I'm not gonna lie. It's not supposed to be, but it's
Okay.
hilarious.
Okay. Well, what's up next? Because I have nothing to add.
All right. So next up, Selma. Selma came in at 11th on our survey.
Why is it
NA
so
for
low?
me. NA for
I've
me.
I've seen Selma. I didn't think it was bad. Did I miss a part of Selma that people was just not messing with, or is it just not memorable? People.
So the responses I got on the surveys, like myself included, is like by the time Selma came out, which I think that was 2015 as well, I want to say, if I remember correctly.
Mm-hmm.
But by the time Selma came out, we I think us as a people were collectively like, at least the younger generation,
Mm-hmm.
collectively done with the um slave narratives and the civil rights narratives, like we were a little
Mm-hmm.
exhausted um
I
at
can see
that
that.
point. Yeah. That's literally so many, the like a lot of the notes. It came out in 2014, and that's one of the reasons why I didn't see it either. I was just like, I'm not in the headspace for this. So I think that's why it was rated so low. The movie
Mm-hmm.
itself, I mean, did you watch it?
I did. I liked Selma. I
Mhm.
did. It for me, it did exactly what I thought it was going to do. It told the story
Mhm.
about John Lewis and obviously Martin Luther King and
Mhm.
the bridge, and it was
Mm.
hard to watch. It was painful because they show people
Yeah.
getting rocked, as as we know that they did back in those days of the civil rights movement. Um, Churches are bombed. Those things are
Mhm.
very very true. The thing to me that stood out to Selma is that. I believe that was Ava DuVernay who was directing that. And from there, I'm talking about we talk about star-studded casts. Like, let me just go down just a little rabbit hole with you on this one. Okay, look, Keith
Mm.
Stanfield is in here, Wendell Pierce, Coleman
Oh,
Domingo, the same Coleman Domingo we were just talking about, Oprah,
oh,
David Oyelowo is Martin Luther King, Carmen Ejoho, I believe is how you say,
yeah,
or
I can
Hojo,
never say her name.
is
Yeah.
yeah is Coretta Scott King, and so you have a powerful cast. You have an amazing song. I think John Legend wins an
He
Oscar for
won.
that.
Yep.
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's when he started EGOTing. Like
Yeah.
John Legend, I believe gets the Tony as well for Selma or something like
Or
that, or yeah,
something.
something to that
Yeah,
effect. Or
yeah,
Emmy, he gets something for that. Anyway,
he
regardless,
does.
yeah, John Legend solidifies his legendary status, literally calling himself Legend, and becoming an EGOT. I didn't hate Selma, but you're right. This is not a film I go back to rewatch.
Mm.
Partly because I'm a little tired of watching black trauma, and I think
It
I
is
agree with
that.
you.
Yes. Mhm.
Yeah.
Very that, like, that stretch of Black trauma, The Butler, 12 Years a Slave, Selma, like, I
And
feel
those
like
are all
all those
biopics.
came out. Yeah, they
Yeah,
are.
you just named like three biopics that are not on our list, and
Nope.
they're all true stories of pain. And I think that's kind
Yeah,
of where it's like the nostalgia leaves you, and then in 2014 you're like, I don't know about this.
exactly. So, I just think it was just, for its time, I'll watch it one day. It's just
Okay.
it just gotta be in that. You just gotta be in that.
Yeah, you gotta be in that mode, okay? That mode,
Yeah,
that mood. Yeah, it's a
yeah.
tough one. That wasn't last on our list though.
No, we got two more, and then I'll wrap it up. Respect. I can wrap that up because I didn't see that one.
Well, I saw Respect, and I didn't think
Uh-huh.
it was bad, but I also was not paying that close attention to it. I thought that, like, I walked in the room, it was on. I kind of caught it. It tells you the story about Aretha Franklin, but I did see some feedback about the show where people were like, about the movie, where people were like, I don't know how accurate it was. You know,
Yeah, I know it caught a little flack because that's the one with Cynthia Erivo, right? If I
I
believe
believe so.
correctly.
Yeah.
So it had controversy going into it because Cynthia Erivo herself she's from the UK. She has said some kind of disparaging things about Black Americans, and yet comes and plays a lot of our Black American parts over here. Plus,
Oh
on
no,
top of
no, no,
that,
no, no, no. I think that's Harriet that you're thinking of. She played
no,
Harriet
I know
Tubman.
Harriet. Yeah,
Yeah, I
she
don't know
didn't
if she
play.
was in Respect.
Who played Respect?
Jennifer Hudson.
Oh shit. Okay. Wait, so is that the miniseries?
You're thinking about the miniseries. We talk about the movie, the film, 2021 film.
And that
Yeah.
was Jennifer Hudson was
That's
in the
Jennifer
film?
Hudson. Yeah. Cause I mean,
Because
who
who
else
was
you
in
gonna find that can
the
sing
miniseries?
like Aretha
Oh,
Franklin?
Cynthia Erivo was in the miniseries. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, yep. But that's what I was saying because I didn't want to see the Cynthia Erivo one because I'm like, Aretha Franklin herself said Jennifer Hudson should play her. Never
Uh-huh.
saw the Jennifer Hudson one either.
Oh yeah, you're
Damn,
talking about I think it's called Genius,
genius.
right? Genius. Yes, no.
Aretha
This is
Franklin.
Respect. this is the Jennifer Hudson adaptation. And again, I did see mixed reviews from it. Honestly, a lot of people were not putting it up in their top 5 or 6 movies when we asked about it.
No.
Um, Generally like kind of low middle ground, like Rotten Tomatoes scores. I remember people called it respectful. And I don't think respectful is going to land you in the top 5 of any list of movies and films or, whatever. And so I think that that's probably where it falls short. But again, NAACP Image Award for Jennifer Hudson for Entertainer of the Year and Outstanding Actress in a Motion Picture. It racked up a ton of awards, nominations at least. Audra McDonald, the ensemble cast as well. And so for me, it's not my favorite thing to watch, but I also will be fair and say that I ain't really paying that much attention to it. I walked in, it was on. I was kind of like, oh, I didn't know Aretha was dealing with all that. And then I went on about my business. And
Yeah.
so I think I got to put this one on my list again because it's an NA, but I think it's too strong of an NA for me to just ignore.
Yeah. I mean, for me, I just looked at some of the responses and it was quite low. It was either NA or low. So, like I said,
Yeah.
I haven't seen it. So maybe we'll put that in maybe pile.
Now, Mari, before we get to this last one, I'm about to flip a table because I already know what's coming, and I am not. What happened?
I don't
Huh?
know why that was so low. Let me see where it was on my list.
Why?
I guess it was
I need to
one,
know
one,
why y'all
two,
hate Biggie
three, four,
Smalls so
five,
much.
six, seven, eight. Eight. It was 8 on my list.
Yeah, why y'all hate
Um,
Biggie Smalls so much? Y'all didn't like Notorious?
I like Notorious. Again, very campy. Very camp. High drag, one would say. Because the acting was hit or miss. and but the story was entertaining, I think this is where Notori Naughton to me did like an amazing job. She was like the best part in it as Little Kim.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, like I actually really liked it. And again, was she the best part because she was the best actor? Probably not. But she was the
No.
person who had me like howling and hooting and interested in it. And like Kim really couldn't have been doing all these shenanigans because she like I did like Notorious. I did like Notorious. I just think when you look at the overall body of the others, I think that's why it comes in at 13th place here.
Yeah. What we have to say this. Tack one more on for Angela Bassett, playing Biggie Smalls' mama as well.
Oh my god, I forgot she was.
What can she not do? Okay,
Like in half of these movies on this list.
The biopic queen. We got a relative unknown with Jamal Willard as Biggie Smalls, and I thought he did a very respectable job. He popped up out of nowhere, and he kind of had to be Biggie. But I think a lot of people had some issues with the casting in other areas. The Tupac Shakur Anthony Mackie of it all is a meme that I laugh at every time I see. Yeah. So, hey, well, I'm Tupac. Like yes, we know. So funny every time. It's so funny every time. Derek Lucas, Sean P. Diddy, Papa Diddy Pop Combs. Also interesting to watch him talking with that kind of lisp. You can see it was so. I'm sorry. I'm with Mari. This felt like it wasn't supposed to be good. You were just supposed to go and have a good time.
Yes, and that's what I remember.
Yeah, I loved it. I'm a Biggie stan, so give me this and I'll take it. Whatever, I'm fine.
I think also watching it like in the middle of college, going with all of my college friends and watching it like really like what bumped it up, but also like again, not that much because it was a clown show in a good way. Like
in a good way. I did like it. Yeah.
Yeah. So what were some of the responses you got on social media? Since that's it, that's our list. That is the honorable mentions. If you don't like that, let us know. Put your top 5 in the comments section, all of that. Let us know what your top 5 is out of those.
Yeah, give us the rundown of the top 5 one more time.
Oh, okay. The actual top 5. Okay. So number 1 was Malcolm X. Number 2 was The Temptations. Number 3 was Jackson's The American Dream. Number 4 was Ray, and then number 5 was What's Love Got to Do with It.
Okay, solid list. Okay, so as far as honorable mentions that people just decided to text in, and then like I said, I went to social media to be like, all right, what else we missing? The Josephine Baker story,
Mm.
I Know Why the Cage Bird Sings, Diary of Miss Jane Pittman, Dorothy Dandridge, introducing Dorothy
Oh,
Dandridge. I believe that's
that
Halle
was
Berry,
good.
right?
That's Halle Berry. Yeah, I really
Yeah,
liked that one. Oh, I didn't
I
even think
did
about that
too.
one.
Um,
Mhm.
a few. I'm gonna just skip the sports ones because y'all know, y'all, we already talked about this, y'all. Judas and the Black Messiah, another one that I just wouldn't have
Very
come to my
good.
mind when I thought about biopics.
Yeah,
I don't know why.
yeah,
12 Years a Slave. You know, definitely don't like to think of that as something that really happened, and I guess it did, right?
yeah.
Um,
Very
uh, uh,
scary.
we see some Denzel Washington love with American Gangster on
Mm.
here. Um,
A smidge too long for me.
just a pinch, just a
Yeah,
pinch.
3 hours?
Uh, yeah, my OGs in my family, they were talking about Roots. I was like, again, we really don't need. I guess I really don't need to know that this happened to real people. Like, you know what I'm saying? I don't need to
Yeah.
put names with the face. It's tough, y'all. It's tough. Um, Devotion was another one. What's
Who's that about?
the I don't know. I've actually never heard of that one. And then what's the Ben Carson movie where the is it Hands of something like that? Oh, Devotion is a war film with starring starring Jonathan Majors. So there's that.
What?
Yeah.
That was the new one. Oh, that came out 2 years ago?
Mhm.
If we're
Uh,
talking devotion, then we gotta talk Red Tails then,
yeah, Red Tails was on the
really.
list.
Red Tails is
Gifted
good.
Hands, that's the Ben Carson story, Gifted Hands. And then there was a few
People
more.
suggested
Like I
these?
said, what would you say?
I said people suggested these
People
ones?
said people said like, "Hey, we're not showing love to some of the good ones." And so I'm trying to go
Mm,
in and catch a few of them, but there
mhm.
there were a ton of just biopics that we didn't talk about. I mean, we've alluded to the Little Richard one. There are
Yeah.
several Michael Jackson biopics. I'm picturing Flex in
We
the
are
white
not talking
makeup.
about Flex in the mic.
We got to talk about Flex. Look, put that on the list. I bet you ain't never seen it.
Oh my me?
Have you
Of
ever seen
course
the
I've
the
seen it. Of course I've seen
Okay.
it.
Then
I
we
made
gotta talk
fun of
about
it
it.
for, like,
Then we gotta talk about it. Oh,
days.
we gotta talk about Romany Malco as MC Hammer and the MC Hammer. Please Hammer, don't hurt him. I believe is what it was, or was it too
Oh.
legit? I think it was Please Hammer, don't hurt him. It's one of them. Anyway, it's Romany Malco, and he's MC Hammer, and it's
I remember
ridiculous.
Too Legit.
Yeah. Listen, a ton of biopics out there, a ton of stuff for us to watch, and I think that we have content for years just talking about real life people who get their stories told in film form, especially for Black people. And so, yeah, I'm very excited to look into what it looks like when we go and explore some of these older movies, like Antoine Fisher or Bessie
Oh,
Davis,
Juan Fisher.
Rosewood. There's so many films that we didn't even touch on, and so, oh, the Clark sisters biopic,
Oh, yeah,
that
I
was a
heard about that one. I
really
didn't
good
watch
one.
that one. Yeah, I heard that was
Y-
really good.
Yeah, the music was great. I don't remember how good the story was, but the music was great. But
Mhm.
yeah, so
I
that,
I personally liked, Ain't Too Proud to Beg, the TLC one that they did
oh
for
yeah, it was
VH1, like, a
fine.
few years ago. I
Yeah,
loved
it was
it for
cool.
some reason. I thought it was great. I thought Keke Palmer killed it. I thought Drew Sidora killed it, and surprisingly, Little Mama did a great job as well.
Little
So,
Mama
maybe
King.
because the bar was so low. It's
Look,
so
yeah, we didn't know what we were gonna get, so we just took whatever we got, and it was good.
yeah.
It was
And
good.
one that we alluded to earlier, Why Do Fools Fall in Love? I have seen
We
Why Do
didn't.
Fools Fall in Love like 80 million times.
Me too. Story of Frankie Lyman. Yeah, and we
Love
didn't even
it.
talk about it. Look
We
at
did
us.
not even talk about it. Weird. Look at us.
Yeah, it's okay because we can put it
Yeah.
to the list. And so,
Mhm.
thank you all for checking this out and being with us as we talked about it and wax poetic about some of our favorite films. If we missed one of your favorites, please let us know here in the comments on YouTube. And then also, you can email us. I believe it's recapkickback@gmail.com. So that's recapkickback@gmail.com to let us know what you thought about this episode of our podcast, our inaugural episode of the podcast, and then also what you want us to talk about next, because Mari and I still have to come up with what is our next top 5 for next week. Mari, do you already have an idea?
Yes. I think I want to save Black romance until we can get a certain guest on.
Okay.
So maybe let's do Black dramas.
Okay, Black dramas. Okay, so these are not dramedies. We're talking about movies that make your heart hurt. Maybe Oh, I don't know. Is there like too much overlap between drama and romance for the black movies? Like, explain to me. Like, give me an example of a black drama.
So black drama to me, I'm thinking like Set It Off.
Okay. Yes,
Yeah.
that is. Ooh, that's
Mhm.
a good one. Does the
Mhm.
Players Club count as a drama, or is that a
Oh
dramedy?
yeah. No. I mean,
There are funny
you
moments in the Players Club.
there are
Bernie Mac
funny
in there.
moments, but I mean that is some heavy stuff. You know what I'm saying?
Okay. Well, it sounds
Uh,
like we know what we
waiting
might add to our list.
no, Waiting Exhale is black romance, definitely.
That's a romance for sure.
Mhm, mhm,
Um, yeah, maybe Hustle and Flow,
mhm.
Moonlight, Menace to Society, New
Minute,
Jack
yeah, Boys
City,
in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood. Okay, we might just need to do a ghetto ass list one too as well, because like all the movies got to fight against each other. Paid in Full, New Jack City, Belly. You know. Oh, another biopic that I didn't mention: Fruitvale Station. Never gonna watch it.
Oh,
More power
so
to you if you've
sad.
seen it. Can't do it.
Yeah,
Sorry.
me too.
But yeah, I think there's these movies that could kind of overlap. But I think for next week, you're right. We're gonna focus on black dramas. And so, if you are listening to this, let us
We're
know
gonna
what black
build to the
dramas you
good
want to
stuff,
see.
I think. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
think we
yeah.
go to the good stuff because I think black romance is definitely gonna be one where that's gonna be a hot button topic. I know me and you have to get these takes off about love and basketball.
Woo, because
Um,
it deserves whatever we about to give it. Just know
you
that.
know, black comedies. I mean, where does Friday rank? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Black
Ooh, I got to choose
comedies.
between Friday and Booty Call. This might be tough. Oh my God.
We love booty call. And finally, I think we should end it with black TV series. So
Okay. Well,
Martin,
sounds like a
Living Single, Girlfriends.
mhm. Yeah. Sounds
So
like a
stay
plan to
tuned.
me.
Lots of good stuff to talk about this month. Black
Yeah,
history.
lots of good stuff to talk about. A lot of good stuff to come in the future. We're just now getting started here on Recap Kickback. So, Mari, thank
Mhm.
you for agreeing to be my co-host on this journey. I know you got a lot
Of
going on
course.
right now, but if you could please tell the people who are unfamiliar with
Yeah.
where to find you, exactly where they can find you and what you've been up to in the meantime.
Of course, you can find me on Twitter at Mari Talks Too Much. That's two like the number two. I ain't gonna call it X. His mama call it Twitter. I'm gonna call it Twitter. So that's where I'm at. You can also find me over on the Wrestling Wrap Up podcast, where me and Matt Scott we do the highlights of the week of wrestling. So any wrestling fans out here, you want to go and watch us, you can go to robhasawebsite.com/wrestling feed, or you can go to the Rob Has a Podcast YouTube page to check out the Wrestling Wrap Up on YouTube. Also, every Tuesday, me and Sarah Carradine bring True Crime Tuesdays to RHAP. And with the Crime Scene podcast, we are dropping it. We just dropped a really good episode with our amazing guest Jason Reed. We talked about American Nightmare. It's a docu series on Netflix that follows the quote unquote Gone Girl case. It is so good. It's on Netflix. You can watch it and then you can listen to us talk about it over on Crime Scene by going to robhasawebsite.com/crime feed podcast, and you can subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Chappell, where can people find you?
All right. And again, if you're new here, thanks for coming. Thanks for joining us. You can, of course, follow me on Twitter at Chappell's_show. That's CHAPPELLS_SHOW, where I will tweet out all the links to the podcasting that I'm doing. I am the co-host of the Nothing But Netflix podcast, where we talk about Netflix shows every week. Rob Cesternino and I will pick a Netflix show from the top 5 or top 10, or maybe just something that looks a little goofy that we can talk about and make fun of. And most recently, we talked about The Trust, a Game of Greed, which was a Netflix reality show that really got messy. And Rob and I had a lot to say. We interviewed Jay Patterson, one of the standout characters from that season of television. And so check out Nothing But Netflix wherever you get your podcast. You can subscribe to Nothing But Netflix on Apple, Spotify, or you can watch Nothing But Netflix coverage on YouTube when there's available on the youtube.com/RHAP. Also, on suitspodcast.com, Rob Cesternino and I covered every episode of Suits. That is daily Suits coverage for over 100 and some odd days. And we are finished with Suits, but we're also now covering Pearson. And so it's not too late to jump in. If you want to go back and listen to our coverage, if you've never seen Suits on Netflix, or if you watched it in the past and you know, trying to find some coverage about it or something goofy to laugh at, please come check out Rob and I talking about Suits on suitspodcast.com or subscribe to Suits Yourself wherever you get your podcast. Um, I'm going to be guesting on the 90 Day Fiance podcast this week with Puya. And so it's the 90 Day Wrap Up. I believe it's episode 15 of this season of 90 Day Fiance. So check that out as I guest over there. I also guested with Kevin and Nigel to talk about the legacy of Survivor player Sandra Diaz Twine on our YouTube page on youtube.com/RHAP. So check that out. Go to robhasawebsite.com. Go to wherever you get your podcast and subscribe. And then check me out on post show recaps where me and my co-host Gia Worthy will be covering Abbott Elementary very soon when it drops. So keep up with that and more by following Mari on Twitter at Mari Talks Too Much, me at Chappell's_show. And then look out for our social media here for Recap Kickback because it's going to be a good time. Follow Recap Kickback wherever you get your podcast as well. So that said, Mari, it's time to go. It's been a great time here at the Kickback, but until next week, we will see you all later. Peace.